We are here today with a very, very important topic. I cannot thank you all so much for coming out here and flying across the country, literally, to come and speak with us all today. Furthest from me is Dr. David Tonkin. He is a renowned pain specialist. He has got locations in multiple states. They're all addressing the topic of opioid addiction, prescription opioid addiction, which is the #1 health epidemic in this country. It's extremely serious, and what we have come together to explain today is there's hope. There's hope for people with a possibly unusual resource, which is cannabis. Shocking, I know. In the middle is Mr. Marvin Washington, who's very humble, but he is a Super Bowl winner. He is the number 36th ranked all-time NFL Jet. He can tell you quite a lot about his experience with the NFL, and he's been in this industry for a while and is very, very well versed on cannabinoids and how they affect the human body. And then closest to me is Mr. Josh Kinney, who is a 2006 Major League Baseball World Series winner. I do not envy this man one bit with all the pain that he's gone through with his surgeries, and he can talk to you all about that. So what we'd like to do today is open a discussion on how do you address opioid addiction with cannabis. And I think I'd like to start with Dr. Tonkin. I want to move the microphone closer to you. So we were talking earlier, and apparently you have extensive sports experience yourself.
Well, I was a Division I track scholarship at Virginia Tech, but I wouldn't say I was nearly on the level. Actually, Josh and I grew up very close to each other in Pennsylvania, and I always tell him that I never got the recognition that I deserved. I was an all-star Little League first base player. Just don't get any respect for that. But yeah, so I actually am a board-certified anesthesiologist. I actually went back and did another fellowship in interventional pain at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit, and now we have elite pain managements across the country. We actually treat opioid addiction. We also treat with opioids for pain. I'm an interventionalist. So I'm the guy that can do the injections or operate on your back. I'm a minimally invasive surgeon. And when I got out of fellowship, I thought I could fix everybody by injecting them or operating on them. And I found out in 2 or 3 years that actually I wasn't able to do that. So I opened up a clinic. The first one was in Springfield, Missouri, where my wife practices. She's a physician also. And Josh and I rekindled our little friendship from back in Pennsylvania. So we got to know each other pretty well. But we do treat pain using opioids, but we also do it in a multidisciplinary fashion. So we go to physical therapy. If you need to have surgery, you need to see a psychologist. I was approached not too long ago by a company to see if CBD would actually help decrease the pain scores and be able to take us off some of the narcotics that these patients are prescribed. And I took it on myself to actually give it to people that were addicted or have opioid use disorder and see if it would help them with their with Suboxone treatment and things like that. And we have found a great reduction in the amount of opioids we've been able to prescribe patients. And also, there's quite a few people in our little study we had going on who were actually be able to stop using Suboxone at all just by using CBD oils. So it's pretty fascinating for me. And I think we're just opening up the can of what's going to happen in the future when we find out what all we can treat with it.
That's fantastic. Marvin, do you want to give a little bit of a background?
Yeah, played in the NFL for 12 years. Was blessed enough to win a Super Bowl and then retired and went into the financial services industry as an investment advisor. Got into the cannabis industry about 3 years ago. Educated myself. I don't smoke. I do get CBD, but I don't smoke the THC side. But I do understand the benefits of that side too. But the thing to me is the pain management. And if there's ever a sport that needs to experiment with cannabis as far as treating pain management, it's the NFL. I retired in 2000. And I know the pharmaceutical routine that the players went through back then and they're going through now. And my thing is to get to the NFL to look at some alternative instead of those opiates and pharmaceuticals that the guys are taking, because there is a routine and regimen that guys do. Starting now, they're in training camp. Football is a collision sport. Baseball and basketball, those are contact sports, but football is a collision sport, so they do need something for pain management. And my takeaway line is I've been around NFL players for the last 20-something years, 25, 26 years. My son plays up in Canada, and I know plenty of guys that left the game addicted to pharmaceuticals, but I don't know anybody that left the game addicted to marijuana. And Roger Goodell's, their takeaway line is they're following the science. As the NFL, the biggest sports league in the world, the biggest sport in America, they need to lead the science. And I think it'll go a long way of getting rid of this negative connotation about the cannabis plant, because this thing needs to be researched and studied, and we need to get all the benefits out of it that we can. And I'm working diligently to, thank you, third time is a charm, to get this into the NFL and get it researched. And whenever there's a dangerous industry, be it trucking or coal mining, it's not the company that takes the initiative to get this done, it's the union. And so I'm working with the NFLPA to try to get CBD and cannabis studied as for pain management. Also, the NFL has an industrial disease called chronic traumatic encephalopathy. I can say that, but not diligently. But that's the NFL's industrial disease, and the government has a patent on CBD as an antioxidant and neuroprotectant, so I'm definitely going to try to get that done too. And I just want to keep this movement going, because to me it's a movement. It's not an industry yet like the tobacco or alcohol industry. It's just a movement, and we're all running now. And so I want to just keep running and moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very nice. That's tough to follow up right now. Whew. My name's Josh Kinney. I'm a former Major League Baseball player. I played professionally for 15 years, 4 years of college, and I'm rather new to the industry. I just got on board with Dr. Tonkin. We're good friends. We grew up in the same part of northern Pennsylvania together. So my perspective on this is from a professional athlete's view. And, my sport, we play 162 regular season games, and we get 1 or 2 days off a month. And that's not counting spring training. So baseball players, we hammer our body to the max every single day. And I personally know what it's like to do that, to get the most out of your body every single day, and the pain that you go through. And managing your pain as a professional athlete is a major deal in sports. I took many pills to keep me on the field, all legal. But the damage that it can cause to the inside, you don't care about. You care about being on the field. So from my perspective, when I started learning about CBD and some of the great health benefits that it offers, and understanding and gaining knowledge from Dr. Tonkin in regards to how you can manage pain with it, I was very excited to come up and come to a class and learn more and more about it, and hopefully try to integrate some kind of CBD products into the sport of baseball. Whether that product is pill form, creams forms, whatever, I think there's a very, very big window of opportunity in sports of all ages to offer a safe alternative to managing your pain. And that's where I'm at, and that's my perspective. And I look forward to seeing where this goes and being able to provide athletes of all ages and all sports something of CBD-infused products that can help them out. Thank you.
So, Dr. Tonkin, we were discussing earlier, and I'd like for everybody to understand, what do you see on a daily basis as far as addiction is concerned.
I was actually just on a roundtable with Senator McCaskill from Missouri 2 weeks ago on a Friday, and we were talking about all the different problems, and we do have a clinic in Missouri, and one of the problems in Missouri is it's the only state in the country that we don't have a pharmacy monitoring systems where we can get on a computer and look where the patients are getting their medications. Well, when we were discussing this, I wanted to actually address with her one of the bigger problems is, a lot of these people are abusing these opioids. They assume that these medications are coming from Detroit, Michigan, from Mexico, from out of the United States. And it's really the thing I think we need to really stress is it's the physicians that are prescribing these medications. The patients are then buying them off the street, aren't getting them. Shipping in from places. So my big thing with the senator was we need to start educating the physicians that stop prescribing so many medications. And if we have something as an alternative to take away the pain that you can't get addicted to, you can't overdose, let's do that. There's too many deaths happening in the United States right now. Another thing is that you have to realize that we kind of separate people that have addiction problems, which is classified as opioid use disorder. We look at them as the homeless patients, and we do have homeless patients, but most of the patients have two-thirds of them have a legitimate prescription for these opioids. So it can happen to any one of us in the room, and if we put a raised hand, if anybody would actually admit to it, these medications, we treat physicians at our clinics, we treat prosecuting attorneys. We have to understand this opioid epidemic is killing all our young and old alike, and we need to do something about it. But one of the things we have to look at is what are their alternatives to take care of their pain. But number two is we have to really take a hard look at the physicians that are prescribing all these medications.
That's a fantastic answer. Thank you so much.
But the physicians don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of egocentric and think that we can't do wrong, but we're the reason that these pills are getting out on the street. So 1 out of 3 people that actually come to a pain clinic are, for better words, lying about their condition, and they get medications. Another problem, it's probably not the forum here to talk about, is the way physicians are reimbursed these days. They have 10 minutes to be with you in the room, and they have diabetes, high blood pressure, and everything else, and all the patient wants to talk about is their pain. So the doctor very, very quickly writes for their Percocet, give them the prescription, let's start going over to your diabetes and things. So it's a huge problem that the doctors are just perpetuating what's going on with all these opioids. But it's a huge problem. As the press knows, anything you look at the news, it's all about opioid use disorder, and we got to attack it. But we can attack it, of course, using buprenorphine containing products like Suboxone or Bunavil or something like that. But here we have something that we can use to treat these cravings that these patients have. And there's scientific literature behind there that this actually works. And in my clinics, I can tell you personally that this CBD does work for the cravings. So why not have these patients on something that you can't overdose? The other problem is whenever you're given these medications like narcotics, a lot of these patients are taking benzodiazepines, Xanax, Valium, Ativan, things like that. And as you know, all the psychological associations, American Psychological Society, all say that you shouldn't be taking these medications chronically. When you mix opioids and benzodiazepines, your respirations decrease and people overdose all the time on them. So here we have a product you can't get addicted to, you can't overdose, like I said, and it takes care of cravings, anxiety, and things like that. So why don't we move forward and start addressing it with medication other than things that are so deadly?